There's just one day left to NFL season. We've already conquered the entries we needed to on Underdog. We've conquered the entries we needed to on Drafters. What else is left? I think you guys know. We have to go face the beast. We have to go slay the dragon on DraftKings. 2 drafts coming up here today. Numbers 149 and 150 for me on DraftKings. And look how we're starting in the very influential one hole, a spot where in the past on DraftKings, you can get that Jefferson, Christian Watson stack that you know I love so deeply. You can get it easily, get it at ADP. Now Watson's come up just enough where I think we might have to do a little bit of our trickeration, a little bit of our shenanigans to get 2 of our guys on DraftKings. But we'll see how the room goes. We shall see. 10-12. I'm confused by what's going on here. But let's just take Justin Jefferson, keep this nice and easy. Of course, he is the obvious 101 to me. I am not a Jamar Chase at 101 guy. I just think that Jefferson has the better outlay of all these guys in this range to do it. If I could take anybody who I'd say could be an underdog to end up as 101, I think that's still Amon-Ra St. Brown. But Chase, to me, I think Higgins could be slightly improved this year with the fact that he was better. The advanced analytics that I look at, the EPA per target numbers that I reference so frequently here on Splash Play, it's a guy that knows ball. But definitely something for me where I just don't see Chase beating Jefferson. I like, unless there's injury, unless there's something weird that goes on, maybe that Vikings defense is so good with Brian Flores coming in that all of a sudden they don't have to pass as much. These things are all in the range of outcomes, I guess. But I just think it's more likely than not Jefferson keeps going off. And I still think he's got a 2,000-year season in him. But we'll see. More target competition. Definitely going to be tougher for him. More Alexander Madison involvement, perhaps, than they had Dalvin Cook last year. Could be something bad for Jefferson, but I'll still take it. There's an overflow. Got it. Sorry to hear you missed it. We'll get one more in here. You'll get a shot to be at number 150. Of course, this is number 149 for me. I have to say, in my quest to get ready for football season, where I've been doing all my data and stuff and getting everything ready to go for what I want to have to present to you guys, to talk about for all my stuff. Also, candidly, had to take out all the Football Outsider stuff because I'm not going to pay FTN for shit. And it looks like Football Outsiders, unfortunately, unless some miracle happens last minute, I don't believe we're going to have data this year. So I don't know what that means. I haven't gotten caught up in pay fully. So we'll see. I'll certainly let you guys know if there are any more details that I know about that coming up. Point being, though, I have to switch everything over. So I'm exclusively going with Pro Football Reference data this year, stochastic data for the projections, some of the other stuff. I might get an ETR sub and do a blended projection thing just because I think that could be an interesting angle for the sim stuff I'll be doing. And then also Sports Info Solutions. That is my primary source of data. So you guys, if you want to play along with me at home, use the same stuff I use. That is what I'll be going with my data outlay. And I'm setting it up to make it look all pretty. So I have the stuff quickly able to reference for you guys whenever we're talking about it. Just got a Chase Kupp lineup. Pretty happy. Look, if you're getting that at the 2 spot, I think that looks great. If I got the 2 spot, I'd be happy to take Jamar Chase. But again, just not taking him over Justin Jefferson personally. And I'm happy to let you know. It's definitely been weird times here heading into the season, but we're going to make it work. Just means I'm going to be throwing my full ass in a splash play. Still unclear if that means doing YouTube shorts kind of stuff, because I just find that a little bit gross. Let me pull up the draft board, by the way. I apologize. I got so excited by my 101. I've not been doing the proper process here. Let's get this aligned, get this looking good. But here we go. This is it. I'm excited to be done with DraftKings, I have to admit. It does look like DraftKings, I think, is going to not overlay, but I think it's going to be a rake-free tournament based on what I could see with the numbers. Room's filling pretty fast. Ironically, the one before me doing a stream was the slowest one I had to fill, but I had to do 2 drafts this morning because I forgot last night amidst all this data prep that I had to do 2 more drafts on DraftKings to get it so I could have 149 and 150 on stream. But we got it done here, and that's some okay drafts. I honestly thought Kelce would fall a little bit more in drafts. Obviously, people are panicky Pete's, but even in this room, it goes to 108 for Kelce, which is pretty much where he was going anyway. Obviously, he does a 106 ADP on DraftKings, but you're getting him at 8, you're getting him at 9 a decent amount of the time. But Kelce here, I haven't seen the discount in the rooms I've been in, which I'm sure there's some out there where could you imagine getting like a Kelce-Kupp start, after, adding maybe CD Lamb onto that. I don't know what you're getting in your first round pick, but a first round pick plus those 2, I would be happy to absorb that if you are luckier in your rooms than I've been and can actually get those guys to fall. Let's see what if we play along with you at home, do we have to do characters too? Yeah, you have to do your own silly voices. You don't have to replicate mine, I guess. You can do whatever one's native to you. Of course, the Southern Belle has been doing great plugs for Splash Play lately. I feel like Southern Belle might be the replacement for the fill-in for Pete when we can't have Pete doing every week. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But definitely the character play here on Splash Play has always been a part of the show, part of the rich tapestry that we bring here. Vague stereotyping in the name of content. Real Jeff Dunham. Let's see. Our picks coming up here. I don't think we're going to have anything too interesting, to be honest, but same old shit. A Jefferson Kupp start. I have not gotten that one yet. I think I would be happy to absorb that one, but we will see what the Oriole in front of me does. He takes Derrick Henry, which kind of seems like an Oriole move. We're going to take Cooper Kupp here. I don't think Watson's here. Watson's now at a 42.2 ADP. This is draft number 149 for me, guys. Got to get my guys. We got Cooper Kupp as a luxury in between. This team is pretty unique, I think. And even when Watson was going at a 48 ADP, he didn't always fall to the Jefferson drafter. So I feel pretty good about this one. My start, Jefferson, Kupp, Watson. Come on, baby. Who can argue that? This guy knows ball. I know ball so well that I can make ADPs shift for people panicking over injuries. Now, oh no, Najee here. We've had Gabe Davis in the chat. This Splash Play, the only chat that gets the real athletes, the guys that we talk about in fantasy. They come to the chat all the time. Najee Harris begging to be picked, and we're not going to allow it. Sorry, Najee. I'm sure you'll get picked by somebody in this room. Maybe somebody will take you at where you feel like you should go. I hope it works out for Najee. I hope it works out better for Jaylen Warren, but I hope it works out for Najee. We are squirting. Jeff Kupp came. There we go. Yeah. I love it. I'm glad that I'm pleasing the Squirt Squad. That makes me happy. Of course, the Squirt Squad, I'm a figurehead leader. I would, at best, maybe worst case, like a Pol Pot tier dictator. But these guys also have their own autonomy, and they're telling me I did something right, so I will take it. This start you could not get in May, June, July, August, even most of August. Love it. This is making it worth it. What a fucking start. Especially for an extreme zero RB team like we might be building here. We don't have to because now we have such great wide receiver capital in. But boy, I'd love to press the advantage. And I do think going 6 rounds of receiver here and then just dialing it back, grabbing some RBs, grabbing some QBs, grabbing some TEs. The tighter the end, the better. I think that could be the approach here, but we'll see. I'm the tip of the Squirt Squad. There we go. I'll take it. 18% Watson. Love to hear it. I am safely above that number on DraftKings and also on Underdog. On Drafters, I don't know what my exposures are. You have to hit a few more Drafters off stream later, but so ignore the part of the intro where I said I was completely done with it. I'm done with it on stream. Tomorrow, though, will be Showdown. I think I'm going to try to just do it around this time. I got to figure out what the regular timing every day, but I'm going to try to shoot for earlier than not. And tomorrow, again, for the Showdown, we're going to talk about, I'm going to try to hand build something and try to do it as blind as I possibly can, I guess, based off of the data stuff I'm seeing. Then we're going to do Fantasy Cruncher, look at the optimized lineup, see what the one that actually is the optimal. So you could use that one in cash theoretically. And then we're going to look at the Sims. And we're going to see what the Sims tell me. And then after all that, I'll give my 3 takeaways. So we're going to keep a lot of the stuff that people like format-wise. I'm also going to try to keep it closer to 20 minutes. So it has a little bit of rewatchability. So not quite as short as the other ones, but not quite as long as these drafts have been. So that'll be the game plan for Mondays and Thursdays, hopefully. And we'll see how it works. And then if I have to pivot, if it's not working, I'll figure it out. Oh, good. I'm the squirt in the Squirt Squad. Thank you. I'm glad. I love the idea, though, of being like some sort of cult leader and just squirting upon people and them going like, oh, I've been blessed. I've been blessed by whatever this fluid is, whatever fluid the cult leader chooses. I've actually been watching the show with Alex, with the wife, Praise Petey, which is, I think, on Freeform, but it's also on Hulu. So that's obviously where we're watching it. And kind of fun. It's the voice of the girl from Schitt's Creek who now has booked every possible gig, it seems like, across every medium. I think Annie Murphy is her name. But fun animated show if you enjoy the adult animated show genre. I thought that one was pretty clever. And anyway, the cult leader thing made me think of it because the premise is that she goes down to the South to take over her father's cult and finds that he had a cult. So that's fun premise. Cult talk here on Splash Play. We're doing it. So also 15 minutes is perfect to watch at 2x if you can land that time range. I'll give it a shot. I mean, I think, it's sometimes hard because I like to edit myself. Like, I like doing short form stuff. I think it's fun. The time crunch, though, of that where you have to script it, then I edit it, and I'm not a fast editor. I think I'm a competent editor if you saw what we put together last year. but not a fast editor. So for me, it definitely is a little bit tough to balance that stuff out and then get it out with enough time where it's, got the time window to be viewed. So I'm going to try to do it early in the morning, and then I'll have a full day, and hopefully things won't change too much. And if they change, I'm going to put stuff in the pinned comment on those showdown videos. So I think that'll be a good way for me to give an actual process. And of course, joined members here can send me whatever they want DFS wise. I replied to our guy Ross this morning about a DFS question. So whatever you guys want to give me, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. Does everything have to be Bukkake on Splash Play? I suppose it does. This is the last draft stream, though, for me. This is sad. I kind of didn't think that BBM was going to last this long. I wish maybe I had parsed that out better and had a few more days of BBMs this week. But I think it's fun to close out BBM. That was a fun, nostalgic kind of feel on Sunday. We did it here. Check out the stream if you missed it. I appreciate everybody's checking it out after the fact. But now we close out drafters. We close out DraftKings. It's nice. It's nice to close out all the sites one by one. I feel like you should theoretically, content-wise, it should probably be like drafters. You close out first, then you close out DraftKings, then you close out Underdog. And Underdog's like the main event. But we did what we did. This is number 149. Number 150 coming up next. But the thumbnail says 150 because how could I resist this? I just love having the big 150. It feels so final and definite. Brings me a lot of joy. We're on the clock, though. I can't wax poetic about my thumbnail. Najee Harris. Oh, no. No, you know what? Fuck it. This is the Get Our Guys draft. We got Pickens, too? Oh, man. That's too high for George Pickens. It's too high of an ADP, but we're going to take him. Who else is my guy here? Do I have another guy? Deontay Johnson is low-key kind of one of my guys. And I think building out the Pittsburgh bet with this base, like Pittsburgh's one of my big bets. So if I build out Pittsburgh and Green Bay with the base of Jefferson and Kupp, I think that feels really good. So I actually am going to put Deontay Johnson on this squad. So the team so far, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson. And I think we're going to pull back at receiver now. So I like this start. I don't know if you guys are going to agree, but I think this is really summing up a lot of my big bets on the year. Just got to make sure to not get sniped on Pickett. Sorry, Najee. Sorry, Najee. I am the meanest to Najee. I hope you go to a good home, Najee. If you're around in round 6, Najee, I'm grabbing you up. I'm going to scoop you up and I'm going to hold you like a little cute baby. But if you go in this round, or the next one, nothing I can do for you. Deontay Johnson TD regression season. I am still team Pickens. Yeah, again, sorry. I didn't realize Najee was also saying Pickens. Just love Pickens so much. I think that he is in line. Looked at his, actually had a screenshot of his RAS score on my desktop. I was cleaning out the stuff that I have there where I just, images you use for something, images you tweet out. And I did have the comparison between Deontay Johnson and George Pickens' RAS scores as a thumbnail on my desktop. And boy, Pickens was a stud athlete too. He had a really low vertical jump, which I don't know what that means, especially because he makes so many contested catches like on dudes' heads, but he only has a 33-inch vertical jump. So that was the one thing that that Deontay Johnson is better at athletically than Pickens. Better route runner though. Sure. Right now, see what Pickens does this year. Got announced earlier today because I got a shitload of work to finish. And for Vegas, that's right. Shout out to everybody going to Vegas for the FFPC stuff, the ship chasing stuff. Should be a lot of fun out there for you guys. Maybe next year will be the year I go. There we go. Najee Harris. Of course, Najee goes to the auto drafter team. So poor Najee. Like if this were the real Najee in chat, like the real Najee, I think we can admit, we can pull the curtain back on this bit. I don't think it's the real Najee Harris. If it is though, please send the old Reddit thing with like a piece of paper. It's like Najee Harris in the Splash Play chat and the date and let me know. I think with Najee though, like I would feel bad if Najee Harris had to watch himself just like not get drafted in one of these rooms. And we're like, these fucking idiots. Oh, look at this dumbass. It's an auto drafter who had to select Najee Harris and just like a single tear goes down his cheek. It just would actually kind of bum me out. I think of these guys as humans too. They're not just little data points. They're not just little photos here on the screen that we can touch and tickle, as we all do during drafts, of course. Who amongst us doesn't touch and tickle our teams? The two T's that are big parts of what I say for my best ball strategy. That's true. We just have to show him Castro's exposure. Turn and stay around. Of course, Felix, the previous Millionare Maker winner, I think the season before last. But yes, he is a staunch Najee believer. Najee brought him to greatness at one point, so maybe he can do it again. There are beat reporters who, for Pittsburgh, project Najee to have 300 touches again. I think if you give him 300 touches and you give Jalen Warren less than 100, I think that should be a borderline punishable offense. I think it should be crimed here. Dak Prescott goes in the 6th, so we're getting a DraftKings draft today. That's weird because this guy's drafted normally. Like unethical 7 here. Got Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, ATN Cooper, and scooping up some value. And then just goes nuts. This is big mistake, man. Don't let people have those diamond hands on DraftKings with your QBs because you don't want to reach that far. Like take them within ADP. Prescott's like, what? Is he still a 100 ADP? Definitely higher than that on DraftKings. So we could continue to take receivers. I think that'd be pretty sick. I do see a running back that I'd be willing to take. A couple running backs I'd be willing to take. Tight end I'd be willing to take to really press the advantage. We'll see. 2 picks coming up from the guy who knows ball. The guy who's building the best DK stream team. I'll say that right now. This has got to be the best DK stream team if I don't completely get sniped and blow it somehow. The start, Jefferson, Kupp, Watson, 2 Steelers. It's like an all-star team. Do they allow you to draft the Pro Bowl on DraftKings Best Ball? I guess they do. Who knew? Yeah, especially taking Dak without the stack. I mean, he took the week 17 correlation, had some Lions, so I guess that makes sense. But yeah, without Lamb, I mean, every time I'll say this, and I say to lots of people in the feedback stuff, anytime you take a QB without the receiver or vice versa, you got to remember, like, you're going up against all the stack teams that are going to kind of combine that together to theoretically pass you. So we can build out the Minnesota bet further. Terry McLaurin, though, I still think too undervalued for this point. Again, was a guy who was going much higher for every part of the draft offseason. So I'm going to scoop him up here, add him to this gangbusters receiver room, the coolest receiver room in all the land. Wouldn't have minded Goddard. Wouldn't have minded one of the better running backs. I am kind of a Rachaad White believer. I don't know if my exposures say that with its chest quite as much. But I am going to go Rachaad White here. Bad running backs on bad teams perform better than wide receivers on bad teams. If the Bucs end up being bad, I think that's something that would certainly still be okay for Rachaad White. I know people are really hot and heavy on Sean Tucker. He's not available in best ball anyway. Sean Tucker is just like a pure volume back. Rachaad White, I think, is a little bit of juice, or at least had more at college playing at Arizona State, where Sean Tucker had no juice playing at Syracuse. Look at his highlights. They're all against fucking Mercer and nothing schools. So I think Rachaad White is still the guy that I would bank on being a breakout back amidst those two. Both are valid, though. But again, you can't draft Tucker anyway, so what does it matter? That's time to build out late QB stacks. I agree. Boom Football. Yes, Boom Football. The only show here where the host holds a football, so you know that, in fact, I know ball. Look at me holding it, never fumbling it. Look at this degree brand on it. You know how rare this is? I can sell this on eBay for millions, but no, instead I hold it and wave it around at you. That take can't possibly come back to bite me. The Sean Tucker one, out of all the takes I'd put out here, I don't think the Sean Tucker one is the one that buries me. Like, he's a valid back in as much as who's in that range. Zamir White's a valid back. Like, I think, these are guys that I didn't buy in on too much. Tucker, I think I got a little more in the big board, but I really thought that he looked like a shitty player at every data point that I looked at. And I'll go through the numbers here, but I just remember him right away being a guy like, I don't want to draft him, but the ADP was at such that I had to take him some amount in the big board. Yeah, Sean Tucker, 0.02 EPA per rush, which is okay. I mean, it's like basically average. 2.5 yards after contact, 7.5% avoided tackle rate. So he's not avoiding tackles really well. Basically at Deuce Vaughn land, which is dangerous. Sean Tucker a little bit bigger, but really not even that much bigger. Not great catching passes, negative 0.12 EPA per target. And he ran a lot of routes. The sample size is pretty big there. And again, he's playing at Syracuse. Like, he's not playing, the top of the Power 5. He's playing just kind of dudes. So I don't know. Not a big Sean Tucker guy, but volume is volume. The ability to earn volume sometimes projects the ability to earn volume in the future. So it's honestly, A-Chain wasn't great last year either, but I do kind of put the blinders on for A-Chain. So it's valid. It's just not my preferred one. Yeah, Sean Tucker not even in the week 1 DK pool. I didn't know that. Not even the best ball one. Not in week 1, I believe. We'll see. Do you think JT plays week 5 or does he pull a Le'Veon? I think if he sees the Colts running backs succeeding, I think he plays because it's going to make him look worse if he didn't play and like Evan Hull's putting up 80 yards and a touchdown, or Deion Jackson and Evan Hull and Zach Moss are combining for these big rushing days, like 50 yards each and a touchdown. So useless for most formats. I think that's certainly in the range of outcomes. Just because the RPOs I've talked about here is, again, it's the guy that knows ball. Because they have to pay so much attention to Anthony Richardson, because especially I think when we get to week 1, like you're going to see Anthony Richardson run and really put that threat out there right away. The running back's going to have some nice lanes. Like that happened in the preseason already. And that was not the full Colts offense. So when we see what they roll out there, I think it's going to really make teams have to press AR more, try to, spy him, try to put guys on him so he can't do what he's going to do quite as much. And that's going to open things up for whoever. And obviously Taylor in that spot would be getting all the volume and would theoretically be rolling like 2 guys or 3 guys rolls into 1. So I think he would benefit from coming back, but he seems like he's getting maybe not great agent advice. So that is a factor you can't really determine, I think, quite as well. All right, so we're going to scoop some value again at running back. I do think that Sanders makes sense here. Still a guy that I'm more of a fan of than the public, just because I think that he is a player that has shown the ability to produce at a high level. And also just really, I think the pass catching stuff is weird just because people don't get that the Eagles were not a great passing teams or running backs. Pacheco, I think, makes sense here, though he doesn't really fit anything build-wise. Could also, I guess, reach for Cousins to lock him down, but I'm not going to do that. I think this is a Brian Robinson team because we do have the bet on Washington. So let's grab him here. Washington will be our 3rd running back. Team so far, extreme 0 RB build where we scooped up Cooper Kupp, Rachaad White, Miles Sanders, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson. Need to start thinking about the guys coming up because Pickett goes a little bit earlier than you would like. Love goes a little bit earlier than you would like. Cousins, I think we should be safe on for now, unless I'm missing something here. Did he already go? Did somebody take unstacked Cousins and I missed it? Hold on. Wow, he went at 8-4. Oh, to the guy with Addison? How desperate are you for Kirk Cousins? That's terrible. I think just an Addison Cousins stack, you got to have a really sick team around it. Because again, if you're going up against Cousins stacks, you're then going against Cousins with Jefferson teams or Cousins with Hawkinson teams. I don't agree with what Joey C did here, but obviously I am personally aggrieved by it. Yeah, there we go. I missed it. Things that are like illogical, and I'm trying to talk to you guys and also wave around the football. I miss these sometimes and then see them afterwards, and the tilt comes late. But the tilt is there. The tilt is absolutely there. Got to teach Laffy and Josh about boom football so they can enhance their knowledge of ball. It's true. Laffy knows ball. Josh knows data. He's good at data. Josh doesn't care to know ball. Josh doesn't wish to be a guy who knows ball. He knows basketball. He knows a ball. I think that still counts. He's just got to hold the basketball around. Harder to do, obviously. Easier to palm a football and to be palming a fully inflated basketball and waving it around on a stream. What if Addison and Kirk is a stack you need? It's possible. Like, we could see what happened last year. I could tell you as a guy that advanced Justin Jefferson on like 2 out of my 3 finalist teams, one on DK, one on the one that I had on Underdog. Jefferson did not show up in week 17. And we did see spike weeks from Osborne last year down the stretch. So maybe that could be the case. The thing is just that you have to build a really sick team around it. So like you need something to overcome Jefferson. Is CeeDee Lamb going to overcome Jefferson? I don't think so. Is Barkley going to overcome Jefferson and Kupp? No fucking chance. So I don't know. Yeah, and Laffy does know ball. I think let's confirm that. I would say Laffy knows ball. I think I'm doing the deeper dive on Sunday, though. I'm not on the schedule for Stochastic, so I got to check that out. But keep your eyes peeled here because I'll tell you. But Sunday, I think I'm supposed to be, at least I was as of a few weeks ago, be filling in for Osmo, who's not doing the deeper dive this year, and joining Laffy and Ben for that one. But maybe they changed plans. I don't know. I'm just doing probably shit in Splash Play. What do I care? And just knowing ball. That's about the quest. Honestly, I need to spend so much time updating my fucking Excel matchup sheet that I would benefit from more free time right now. But we are grinding here. Let's see what stupid Joey C does. We all know what the C stands for at this point, but I'm not going to say it because it's 10:24 a.m. Still getting JSN in the 90s on DK. Wow. That's very odd. There's some reports out there. One of the Twitter doctors said like he thinks that JSN will come back in week 2. I wouldn't be shocked week 1, but he's not running a huge route amount anyway, I think, to start the year. Maybe I'm out there week 1, see what he can do. Week 2 doesn't really matter. Like he didn't deserve a 20 ADP point drop. Same thing for Kupp. Taylor is the one that you can make the case like he's probably deserved the drop. But yeah, as I talked about here, absorb McLaurin, absorb JSN, absorb Judy, absorb Kupp now. I would absorb Kelce. Kelce is getting a little bit riskier because he is older and seems like he's just due for bad injury luck. The Chiefs also as a team, one of the luckiest teams in terms of injuries, I think last year and I think maybe the last few years. And definitely a team that running hot there sometimes portends running really poorly there. Someone who lost home league by 1 point with JJ Christian Watson and Jerry's boy Dalvin. I'm all aware of that week 17 Packers Vikings debacle. Yes, Jair Alexander had to prove a point. And the point was proven by them bracketing Justin Jefferson and completely fucking eliminating him. That was a tough one. I had solid good receivers that game, but again, I needed my QB to score points on underdog and needed Singletary, maybe Higgins to help beat. I think it was Tyreek's shitty score he needed to beat. Didn't get there. All right, we're coming up here. We need more running backs, need tight end, need QB. I'm kind of feeling like I should just reach at QB because I do think we are in danger of losing Pickett and Love pretty soon. I'm going to take Pickett with one of these picks. Again, we have that big bet on Pittsburgh. There's just no reason not to do it. Freeman is already off the board, so I won't take him at tight end, obviously. It'd be impossible to do. I think maybe Love would come back, but this is DraftKings. I don't want to risk it. My team is now built around Love. And also, I need to get Musgrave. And I'm going to need to get Musgrave with my next pick. So let's read out the team. We have Kenny Pickett, Rachaad White, Miles Sanders, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Jordan Love. We could make this a 3 QB with Sam Howell, and I think that would be logical. But I really need to get Musgrave as part of this build, I think, to make it hit the notes I need to. He's got a 162.3 ADP. I have not seen him go at 162.3 anytime I've drafted on DraftKings recently. So I'm going to reach up and get Musgrave next pick for one of them. But there we go. I like this team. Obviously, running back's going to be running backs. No, actually, running back's not that bad. For my standards, especially, running back's not that bad. Someone assumed he'd be back after the bye, still kind of bought the dip. But the second we got good news, ADP hasn't shifted nearly enough. It's just like this has been, I think, a lot more overreactionary than last summer was. The year before, I didn't put in enough entries. It wasn't 150 maxing, so I can't speak to that. But I think this year in particular, like everybody just is like a little too locked into, oh no, like I'm going to lose this guy for a few weeks. And that's the one thing that I remember, as we've talked about a few times on here, Pete beat that into my head. And of course, my podcast partner, Pete Overzet, will be doing some fun stuff in Vegas. So go, I don't know, go follow him around. But yeah, basically it talked to me about DeAndre Hopkins. And it's like, if this is Hopkins ADP, it basically is already accounting for the fact that he's going to be out for the PED suspension. And that ended up being the case. Hopkins wasn't a great player or anything. And I didn't like him last year. I think he ended up being fine, but obviously the Cardinals' motivation waned. He didn't want to be out there. So that all kind of hurt him more so than his actual production. But point being is like the risk is baked in. Like Jameson Williams, he's going in the 60s. Now he's going in the 150s. It's like, yeah, that's been more than baked in that he's going to be out. And maybe he didn't learn the offense well enough in preseason and he likes to gamble a little bit. I don't know. But all these guys, man, it's just like people really overreact and don't correct enough. And as a result, like McLaurin might be going for week 1. I know there might be some decreased production because of the toe issues, but also might not be decreased production. So that's certainly possible that, and even if there is, like, who fucking cares? Like I want Terry McLaurin for week 17. I hope the toe heals by then. But yeah, I think that's been one of the biggest things that people like fucking panic. That's why I'm bringing the diamond hands thing into this medium, because you just need to have the diamond hands with like some of these guys. I'm always more absorb the injury risk than I think a lot of people out there are. But in particular with guys where it's like, you're just panicking because it's happening 2 weeks before the season, really. I'll hit your notes. Thank you. That sounds erotic. What do you think about Lamar and Kyler and Best Ball? I would not take Kyler. I just would not take Kyler. Even the stuff they're saying now to the media that sounds positive is not really positive. Like Jonathan Gannon, the head coach now there, who's given such inspirational quotes recently, such inspirational speeches and social media videos. He had said that like Yeah, we expect him to play at some point this season. That doesn't mean anything. That means he could play again. What I think will happen is that he's back somewhere week 8 to week 12 range. They play him for a couple weeks. The team's already out of contention. They then say Kyler has like a minor injury. We're going to pull him or whatever. Like, they're going to do something that's not saying, hey, we're pulling him because we realize we have nothing left. There's no point in injuring this guy. We have so much money tied to. But there's also reports that like they might want to keep him on the PUP list because he has to pass a physical by March to have certain contract things be enacted. So definitely possible that this goes really poorly. Like he's cheap enough, but if you're having a 2 QB build with Kyler, no fucking chance. 3 QB at least. All right. Nothing that again, Musgrave is going to be one of these picks. So let's lock it down. That's not something I'm going to play with. I'm not going to mess with that one. We really got bled out at running back, but Kenneth Gainwell still works here. I think fits this build. Another guy just getting a part of the Philly backfield, not an issue for me. So let's read the team out again, and we'll wait forever to make picks. So drop any questions or thought starters you want to do in chat. But team so far: Kenny Pickett, Rachaad White, Miles Sanders, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave, tight end 1, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Jordan Love, Kenneth Gainwell. So we've got a 2-4-6-1. Definitely need more running backs, and running back is getting dry. Would be really nice if a Harris fell, but I couldn't afford to not get Musgrave in this build. I think got the bet on Jordan Love. We now got the second receiver with it, and Musgrave is one of my guys. 6'11" Terry is driving up my ownership on him, I think, as it should. I think that McLaurin, to me, Judy, my exposure on him has risen quite a bit. McLaurin, I already had a good amount of, but it's only risen for him. I am very happy to take these guys at this point just because they were going for such earlier ADPs for the majority of these draft periods. McLaurin, I was taken in the 50s when he wasn't getting value in the 40s. Then he moved up to the 40s. People kind of caught up that Sam Howell might be worthwhile. McLaurin will be worthwhile as a result. And, now they're afraid of him because he might miss week 1. Whoa, no. Like, just fucking take him. I looked at my biggest values in the Fantasy Life app yet. Yes, in the Best Ball Hub on fantasylife.com. If you want to check that out for free. It's guys like Bigsby, guys like Jalen Warren. I have like okay value. There's nobody that jumped out as like, oh, I got completely screwed. I think the closest would be Kendre Miller because his ADP has fallen so much with, again, people panicking over the hamstring stuff and added on to the knee stuff that he had previously. But I think those were my big ones, like Tank, Jalen Warren, Watson I was at ADP with, which is actually not bad given how much I reach for Watson in Best Ball Mania. Try if there was anybody else. I think that pretty much covered it. Oh, also the rookie tight ends. I had great value in every rookie tight end because I was taking them in the 190s, if not the 200s for Musgrave in particular, and Mayer as well. So I think I was above on Mayer's ADP because he's like impossibly low. So that one I don't really care about. He just never came up. Like Michael Mayer never came up. And I think that has made him one of the best values. He's my highest exposed tight end in BBM, and I'm happy to have that be the case. Musgrave and Mark Andrews are the only 2 tight ends we were overweight on at 21% respectively. We are overweight on. Has Ben conspiring with people? Has Ben running a conglomerate of conspirators on the best ball sites? I think that's fair. I didn't get to that high on any tight end. I got to I think my highest exposed was 15%. I forget what it was, but it was in that range. I couldn't get that heavy on tight end. I just thought it's like, hey, just keep taking builds of 3 unless you're getting one of the elites. And I had 6% Kelce. Then I had 15% Andrews. So Andrews is definitely one of my bigger bets as well. 6'11" Terry followed by 8'11" JSN feels like a cheat code, but just pulled it off in a DK draft. Add in 7th round Jerry Jeudy, and you're what I was doing last week. So I agree completely. It makes sense from a game theory perspective. You're getting picks that for a large portion of the draft were valued differently. Obviously, it doesn't matter for your pod necessarily initially, but once you get to the week 16, week 15, obviously week 17 especially, could definitely make for some super teams that came about just because of people's fear of injury risk. All right, we need more running backs here. I don't think Deion Jackson is it. Singletary reports of him potentially being in a timeshare with Dameon Pierce, I think are pretty solid. So let's do that. And I'm still a Kendre Miller guy. We do have the bet on Rachaad White, so we'll get the other half of that week 17 correlation. So we had our sixth running back, or fifth and sixth team so far: Kenny Pickett, Rachaad White, Miles Sanders, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Jordan Love, Kenneth Gainwell, Devin Singletary, Kendre Miller. Only thing I would have maybe done differently would be if Howell had fallen, I would have taken him, but didn't work out. So what are we going to do? This also might be a low-key Darnell Washington team. This also might be a low-key Allen Robinson team. I think the one thing that I would add would be getting Jaylen Warren on this team. I think would have made it really pop for the Pittsburgh part, but that's fine. It wasn't an option. Warren went. Where did Jaylen Warren go? I could have reached for him over Robinson. That might have been the move. Oh, well. We'll survive, I think. Still think this is a pretty nice team. JSN goes 8-1 here. All right. Talking about myself in the third person after watching Ricky Henderson documentary. Yeah, Ben doesn't like that. Ben loved that documentary, perhaps. Don't have much Javonte, but it was all in the 90s and 100s. Same for me. That is where I accrued all my Javonte and then have laid off. I'm curious to see how that works out, because that definitely happened for me with a few guys where I got him early or got him during a pocket, like Jelani Woods I took early when it seemed like, man, this guy's going to take a leap as a tight end, and then he ends up just not getting out there. And now people have caught up, obviously, that he's not playing because he's on IR. But it's one of those things where like nobody was talking about that at all besides me. And I quickly got off the Jelani train to start taking Michael Mayer in most of my AR builds for the week 17 correlation, and then actually having a tight end that matters. But like, you know, there's all these weird pockets of time where all of your teams are affected by what you're doing at that pocket of time. So I'm kind of curious to see how that goes when there were these value pockets. Like I didn't draft a lot of Javonte with the recent stuff because he's going so highly. So am I going to miss out on my Javonte teams with teams that have less zeros, teams that are reflective of recent news? I'm curious about it. I know a lot of my late teams, again, are going to have McLaurin, Judy, and on DraftKings, McLaurin, Judy, and JSN. I'll take it. Negatives for Meatwad here are Breece, JMO, Kendre. Positives: Waller, Javonte, Mostert, Purdy, Warren. Yeah, Mostert actually I'm higher on. H-Chain I think was level for me. But yeah, I think that the Jameson one is interesting. Obviously not great to have it on the negative side. The Jameson one on the positive side, I think I'm curious about how that goes, because he could really be a guy that breaks a slate and then also is going to really help the win rate of teams drafted mid to late July to, you know, onward. So I'm curious to see how ones like that go. But obviously it's a fucking wild season. Like things are going to get nuts. Michael Mayer goes, so we lose one of our bailout tight ends. Taysom Hill goes, so we lose one of our other bailout tight ends on DraftKings, which is going to make it a little bit less pretty at tight end than I would like. We could chase it with some volume, I think. I think this could be a Cade Otton team. Yeah. Hunter Henry lurking around. I know people love Hunter Henry as like a give you a floor kind of tight end, which I think is fair. And we do we have a bet on Buffalo? No, we don't have a bet on Buffalo. I guess the one note that I think I didn't hit perfectly with this one is having no Seattle on a Pittsburgh team makes me feel a little naked, because I do think there's a shot that's a really gangbusters week 17 game. But I guess I have it enough everywhere else. But for this team that is like potentially a really loaded squad, I think that it feels a little bit tough to not have Pittsburgh, Seattle in it. All right. Round 16. We need tight ends. I don't know if I want to reach for him, though. We don't need a receiver, but let's add Darius Slayton on for this bet on Cooper Kupp. Get him a bring back. Hunter Henry would really nicely add to the floor of this team. But Kyron Williams, I think, again, adds us another running back. So we get to 7 running backs, 7 receivers. Read the team again. Kenny Pickett, Rachaad White, Miles Sanders, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Jordan Love, Kenneth Gainwell, Devin Singletary, Kendre Miller, Darius Slayton, Kyron Williams. So we got Kyron, who I do think is a fun pick to add on, especially on DraftKings full point PPR. But I think that looks interesting, and I might just go 3 straight tight ends to close me out. So get to 4 tight ends and make it real thin at that position, but hopefully accommodate for it a little bit more with the volume. That's what I think we're going to try to do here. There goes Henry. Again, somebody needs a bailout tight end. Hunter Henry's there for you. What does this guy have at tight end before? Darren Waller, Hunter Henry. That's a solid duo. Solid duo. I overstacked one lineup. It's 100% LAC, LAR. Got everyone basically. Yeah, that'd be a little bit much. Not more than 9 game stacked players, I think, was the point of diminishing returns in Leone's simulation data that he had in the Best Ball Manifesto. So, but yeah, look, sometimes if you're right, like I don't think the Rams are going to pay that off. But you definitely can end up with a good bet on a team if it ends up going well. But you just have to have that entire team be a world beater. Like a team that you make that big of a bet on, they basically have to be top of the conference level, or have a defense where they're just getting in shootout after shootout and be like that kind of 9-8 team. But definitely one where you have to have a good team around them, because otherwise those guys are not all going to get there. But like the Eagles last year all got there. I think for the most part, Bengals kind of all got there. Mixon's price tag made a little bit weird. We also heard Alec Pierce dropping 20 spots in ADP for one preseason drop. Yeah, Alec Pierce has been too cheap on DraftKings this entire time. He sometimes, I got him, I think I passed him up because I just had too many receivers. But he was going like the 200 on one DraftKings draft he did the other day. It's really weird. Like on Underdog, everybody who took AR took him with Pierce. On DraftKings, they think Pierce has chlamydia. And there's like, oh, stay away from me. Don't come kissing me, Alec Pierce. I don't want to see you around. Like very weird stuff with Alec Pierce. So I don't get it. I would tend to think the Underdog side of it's going to be sharper. But on DraftKings, I think he can give you some easy 100-yard days with a bonus, just because he's going to get, 2 to 3 deep shots a game, maybe somewhere in that range. We'll see. Big dome game guy. I think that's going to be helpful. Very helpful for AR. Hope the team, I think, another thing, again, the team could have used Anthony Richardson. I think would have really completed the team in a way that would have looked pretty. But the 3 tight ends we're going to get down this home stretch. That's really what's going to make this team sing. So we'll have 4 in total. I see one who would be a perfect fit for us coming up. Hopefully it doesn't get autoed away to Zihan or Mr. Oriole. And of course, Draft Sun Drop is coming up now. Draft Sun Drop. Names like that intrigue me because, that name means something to this guy. But what? What's a Draft Sun Drop to him? These are the questions that I ask. Cade Otton was the guy I would have liked. He would have been very helpful to have, but we are going to survive. Oh, all right. We'll get Noah Fant for a bring back. This is good. I'm now clutching the ball as a little blankie for myself. Trey McBride is a guy I haven't gotten a lot of. We do have a little bit of that bet on Kenneth Gainwell. We'll get another week 17 bring back, and he's a dude. Trey McBride's a dude. Zach Ertz already being hurt to start the year. Probably doesn't bode well for him ever getting out there. So add these guys in. Let's give the team a read. Love to give a good team read. Kenny Pickett, Rachaad White, Miles Sanders, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Jordan Love, Kenneth Gainwell, Devin Singletary, Kendre Miller, Darius Slayton, Kyron Williams, Noah Fant, Trey McBride. Not the sexiest tight end room, though it does feel like that was a 3 tight end build. I don't think I need tight end 4. And if that's the case, I might go with a fun pick. I might go with a fun New Orleans Tampa Bay pick. There's 2 of them that I think would be fun in the last spot of the draft. Trey Palmer, I've mentioned as my guy. He's already won the wide receiver 3 job for the Bucks now that Russell Gage went out. And then also certainly a guy that I think is going to have upside at the Bucks tank. So I've talked about that a lot. I also think in this build, we missed out on Rashid Shaheed. We do have this a little bit of a bet on New Orleans and Tampa Bay. I think that this could be an A.T. Perry build. A.T. Perry's the guy who could probably get a lot more routes if you see Shaheed be hurt for longer. But in particular, if Michael Thomas goes out, I think A.T. Perry comes in and plays the Michael Thomas role. But he's a good player, good athlete. I think, is he Wake Forest, I believe? But his numbers definitely stood out to me when I looked through before. Not like it's crazy outlier numbers. He doesn't avoid tackles too well, but he did have 140 air yards per game, which is a pretty good number. Air yards tend to be pretty sticky in terms of the ADOT, if not the overall volume of them. 0.21 EPA per target, which is not fantastic, but you can give him some grace. Again, he's playing it in the ACC. I don't know. He's a guy I like, so I'm going to give him some grace. 32% target per route run rate, which would put him also very high in this group, especially for a guy running 32 routes per game. So A.T. Perry, I think, would be a fun pick, but I would prefer Trey Palmer over him if we're going to do this. There we go. Spurious news new. It's late, Spags. Have your fun. Thank you. Yeah, we're now at the point where we don't even have to be serious about this draft. But I think, like, we have more than enough receivers, but I would be pretty okay to add a few more. You're going to stream any best ball resurrection drafts? It's not already out yet, right? I'll give it a shot if it seems like there's interest in the streets for it. It's tough because, like, I want to make content that people are actually viewing and engaging with for the most part. And I don't know that those have the biggest audiences. I kind of feel for the Badge Bros, the Battle Royale stuff does well, but I haven't seen that do terribly well for other people either. So I need to figure some of that stuff out, because definitely trying to push towards stuff that will help me grow the channel and all that, while still giving good information and also more focus on the stuff that I'm most interested in, which is going to be the week-to-week DFS grind. But here we go. So we have both of our guys potentially available. Yeah, Puka Nacua goes even. I think Trey Palmer is a better play. We probably need him a bit less just because this is such a big wide receiver build. But the final team 149, team 150 coming up next. Kenny Pickett, Rachaad White, Miles Sanders, Justin Jefferson, and Cooper Kupp. I keep reading that pairing going like, this gives me warm and fuzzies. Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave's our tight end to start. George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Jordan Love, Kenneth Gainwell, Devin Singletary, Kendre Miller, Darius Slayton, Kyron Williams, Noah Fant, Trey McBride, and Trey Palmer. 2 trays. Is that enough trays? We'll find out. All right, let's go, guys. I'm gonna enter this room. You're gonna get your chance to draft along with me. Of course, we have no promo codes for DraftKings, because DraftKings doesn't respect the creator community. Thinks that we can't help it full tournament, and they have about 32K entries left for them to break even on this one. So outside shot, they fill it. Probably not happening before tomorrow. So probably a little bit of overlay, but not enough to make this as noteworthy as, say, drafters. And if you want to chase some overlay, I think you should go do it on drafters. Use that promo code SPLASH, up to a $100 deposit match for new signups to Drafters Million. I got to tell you, I'm going to hit at least a few of those this afternoon because I got to burn through the 10 that I wanted to hit on there. So we'll be doing that, but go check it out. Full season there, full point PPR as well. So some similarities to DraftKings, no bonuses for the receivers or for the quarterbacks or the rushers. But besides that, similar format and no playoffs, just 17 weeks of points and then you're good to go. So check out Drafters. If you're a redepositor, use the promo code SPLASH100 on there for a 20% match up to $500. And of course, I don't know who's not deposited underdog at this point. If you're not deposited and you're going to play some pick'ems, go check out that one too. Here, I'm going to jerk off the football to point to the ads. Oh, and of course, the most important ad of all, subscribe, like, and comment. Oh, let me shift myself down here so we can. Hey there, y'all. It's me, the Southern Belle, back once more, simply for the plugs that I love to give in my syrupy drawl. I hope you boys subscribe to this channel right now. We're on the march to 3K subs, and I'm trying to advertise it to Spags and let me show my face on camera once again. Either way, though, please do hit that like button, leave a comment. It helps out small creators on the way up, so please do that. Okay, y'all, see you later. Oh, there she goes. Oh, man, just don't need so quiet. Just glides. That's the grace that a pure Southern woman will give you. It is come into the room and then evade quickly. An SEC caliber evasion skills for the Southern Belle. Damn, Southern Belle got me bricked. That's what we're here for. Ben's in the 12 hole. Ben made it. I am drafting in the completely uninfluential 10 hole. But maybe a spot. Kelce falls. I don't know. She doesn't sound pure. How dare you? Why, I almost want to bring her back to combat your points. But I won't, because she can't be seen on camera. She can only be seen in certain configurations. Southern Belle needs to put up my comment about, oh, wait, the overlay? Where did sorry, I was too focused on Southern Belle comments. Good overlay, probably at least 10%. Okay, that's not bad. I mean, rake free alone justifies DraftKings tournament's existence. But 10% would not be bad either. And then you'll have a certain amount of wild cards. So we'll see. Anyway, Southern Belle needs to put down the Virginia Slims. I think she sounds perfectly feminine and beautiful. She doesn't sound pure. Doesn't sound pure. How dare you? I pussed out because I'm at work. Oh, no. Oh, actually, I have to update the banner, too. This is number 150. This is it, guys. Hold on. I got to blow a party noisemaker, party favor, noisemaker. This is it. I'm going to blow it again at the end, but DraftKings is fucking difficult. But not really. It's an incredibly easy site to draft on because these people are often complete fucking buffoons. That said, it really takes your sanity away to draft on DraftKings. But we did it. We got to 150. All right. Celebration. Celebrate good times. Come on. Let's celebrate. Jamar Chase goes in the 3-hole here. Could have see another joint coming. Oh, no, too early. And there's got to be a baby picked up, and I might have to do some work calls today, and I got to look at Excel for large portions of the day. But we will persevere. Hold on. Oh, I got in text, of course. We'll reply to that later. Done just under 450 drafts because I have no underdog in draft. Wow. That sucks. That's still a lot of DK drafts, man. That's crazy. I mean, I've hit 500 total between all the sites. I can't imagine doing 450 just on DraftKings, if I'm being honest. I think it would drive me completely nuts. But shout out to Bullock. That's commitment to drafting when you don't have the other platforms and you got to just do DraftKings. I get it. Let's see. 150 likes for 150 drafts. I think that'd be pretty sick. Hopefully we can hit it, guys. Yeah, here you heard James. I didn't ask for it. James did. So show James some love and hit that like button. Garrett Wilson goes to the 1-8 spot. Interesting start by Nice Noah. If Nice Noah's a sharp player, that'll make him pretty unique, give him a nice shot at some fun stuff. And if he's not, he's gonna regret it. He's gonna rue the day. I'm gonna take Amon-Ra here. I think I'm curious to see if I can get Amon-Ra and Kelce. Is Amon-Ra and Kelce actually unique? Maybe not. But one of these guys could also scoop Kelce, and then maybe I get CeeDee Lamb back and get it not quite at the turn. So I think that would be okay for somewhat ADP value. The big win, though, would be pushing Kelce and pushing Kupp somehow. I have gotten Kupp and Amon-Ra starts recently, so I don't know that I need another one, but Kupp and Amon-Ra also would feel pretty good relative to the ADPs. Kupp and Adams, Amon-Ra and Adams. I do like that. Pollard, I'm okay with. Chubb. At this point, I'm not going to be with the field on Chubb anyway. Let's just take another PPR guy, Devontae Adams. Talked about, just think that Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Cooper Kupp, really nice guys in PPR. Kupp goes off the board here at, here we go, to Jeremy, the icon. So not going to see a big Kupp fall. Saw a little bit of a Kelce fall, but I've taken Kelce at the 112 before, so I don't think that's terribly unique. So in this draft room, I think this only heightens how good fucking draft 149 was to me, where I got him to fall all the way back. Yeah, sniped all the picks before he said it. There you go. It's okay. Got to scoop up the value. But yeah, Kelce, I would think in some rooms, I would imagine that Kelce could fall to like at least 2.6. I don't know how you can get Kelce and Kupp, but there's got to be a room out there just knowing how DraftKings goes. And again, knowing there's so many people right now just drafting teams kind of half-assedly. Maybe the amount of auto drafters makes it a little bit harder, though they're not usually auto drafting this early. But I think there's got to be a first round plus Kelce plus Kupp team somewhere. I just don't know where it would be. It would probably be that you need Kelce to fall somewhere around here and then Kupp to fall even further than where I got him last time out. Kelce, Kupp, I'm saying Kelce and Kupp +1. I wouldn't hate going Kelce and Kupp at 12, 13. I think that'd be pretty unique too. Yeah, honestly, if Ben had done that, I think that would have made more sense relative to, again, just drafting as you can to build the most unique team at this time window that people couldn't have gotten previously, because there were probably no Kelce Kupp teams at all. I'm getting greedy, though, thinking, like, how can you get a first rounder plus Kelce and Kupp? But just taking Kelce and Kupp if you can absorb the injury risk. Again, of a 33-year-old tight end with a knee injury and then a +30 receiver with a hamstring injury. But if you can, I think then that's a pretty nice build. I think Draft 150 deserves a J. Unfortunately, I don't have it. If you want to watch me hit a J while doing DraftKings drafts, you can check out last Thursday's stream. It'll be the most recent one on the DraftKings playlist here on the Splash Play channel. So check that out. This guy started interesting too. A Stone Man. I feel like you see a lot of Jefferson, Jackson Andrews. I don't feel like I see as many McCaffrey, Jackson Andrews. So interesting start by him. Sucks for Faithful, who you have to assume wanted to get one of the Baltimore players back. So at least assuming that he was correlating for week 17, which we shouldn't assume based on how people do this. Let's see. Anything's possible. I've seen someone's first 10 picks be all guys who should get drafted after round 10. That was probably collusion, Bill, that you saw there. There was one, I think it was a drafters draft that somebody highlighted and they canceled on social media. Not in terms of like, oh, they sent the cancel culture after him. They just voided the draft because it was clearly collusion. But it was somebody like, it was a group of people putting like all taking guys like Jamal Williams in the first round, AJ Dillon in the first round, so that they could basically build super teams. And one of the guys who was just innocently, I guess, in this room, reported it with screenshots. And then like he would have had a sick team as a result of that. But I think if it's that egregious, you probably have to report it. If it's one guy doing dumb shit that opens up value for you, I think you let that fly. I don't think you need to report everything. I don't know. Drafting on DK without being high is difficult in and of itself. Yeah, I would agree, as we've seen firsthand. And, you know, it does help out the vibes of the sniping. I'll give you that. Need to balance that out when people ruin every possible QB correlation you can get. Jahmyr Gibbs goes to the guy with 3 running backs to start. Of course, would have loved to have gotten a Gibbs build down the home stretch, but we're not going to get it. Now we're in a pocket that I just do not love that much. Feel like my usual tendency here is to go more Fields, which I don't mind. Honestly, yeah, you know, Ben's not going to take an unstacked Fields. I'll do it again. I was thinking about reaching for Watson, but I got enough Watson. I don't need to I need to fucking not do that. It's draft 150, but I'm not really getting all my guys anyway. This could be an AR draft. This could be another Fields AR draft now that I'm saying that. You got Devontae. All right. Look at some of our guys. You can't get all our guys. You can't always get all the guys. That doesn't work. I was at like 18% cup on DK from the initial dip, and then when my slows ended, used damn near all my drafters drafts. I think it's smart. I think anything that gives you a chance to get a different point from the large majority of these fields, any of them, I think is probably worthwhile. All right, speaking of different fields, we got Justin Fields here. Team so far: Justin Fields, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore. I feel like I started a team exactly like this either on stream or recently. I don't know if that's just the deja vu of getting in these final batch of DraftKings drafts. But this is a build that I do like. Again, you have the PPR points. You're building a stack off of it. So like Amon-Ra and Devontae Adams just need to give us the years that they would give us. And then we don't have to even build out these guys as our game stacks. Building the game stack around it then will theoretically add more value on top. Fields AR was my fave stack on DK. I think that'd be pretty good. Tyler Scott team, maybe. I do like Tyler Scott. I think I should have taken more Claypool at some points because he is low, but he's hurt. He hurt again. I don't know how hurt. We'll find out. But I do think that one of those guys is going to have some spike weeks for sure, and maybe both. Maybe they both have 1 or 2. Definitely the bet, as I've talked about, is still DJ Moore and Fields. Like Moore needs Fields to be average for Moore to pay off his ADP. Fields needs Moore to be good to pay off his ADP or exceed it. I guess really more so. He could pay it off by just running. To exceed it, though, I think he needs Moore to be at least the guy he was last year. So I think the bets make sense. And then Tyler Scott could be a late one potentially. So, what do you see as a realistic stat line for Zeke this season? 550 yards, rushing, 180 receiving, because I do think he'll get a little more receiving work than people would like to see. 5 touchdowns, and I'm talking best case scenario. I think that's the realistic best case scenario. 5 touchdowns I'd give him. I guess there's a world where he could be Jamal Williams. There are some reports by the Patriots beat writers, including, I think, in that athletic roundup of all their fantasy football takes that people freaked out over. Particularly the Kyle Pitts take was from that one about him being 4th in on the team in target share. But I think in that one, they had said that they wouldn't be shocked if Zeke got all the goal line work because they fear Ramondre in that spot, which would be funny. That's part of why I didn't make big bets on Ramondre this year. We'll see. DK just dropped down the $3 contest. Yeah, DK's dropping new ones. I saw they dropped like a $333 one as well. I don't get what they're doing. Like they need to just poach some people from underdog. I've said this before, just like poach some top level people from underdog, at least one or two, and figure out like, hey, how do we time our drafts? Like, how do we fill our drafts? How do we do this stuff? Because underdog has now got it down to a science where they learn, okay, we could release a puppy of a certain size. We could release fucking a chow chow, whatever size. And then we could still fill BBM, but it'll fill slightly later than it did last year. But still fill safely in time. Like, I think that's, but DK is just like, yeah, oh, we're not filling this one. Well, let's try some other ones. Why wouldn't we? So I don't know. Do I lean Hubbard or Singletary? Singletary, still for me. Hubbard, I think, has fallen in ADP, but justifiably so. Singletary, still think Singletary, if not, has a 50-50 role. I think he's still going to have maybe a 33% role. And if Pierce doesn't perform well, Singletary can do more. But I think that, Pierce, as I've talked about, like I have some pangs of concern about just him not being a guy that I have enough of if he is the fractional amount of Christian McCaffrey that he could theoretically be. But it's also possible that Singletary gets used like shitty Christian McCaffrey too, because that's just what the offense calls for. And I do think Singletary's skill set, at least in the pass game, fits shitty Christian McCaffrey better than Pierce does, at least from what we've seen so far. New $3 DK going to mean a tense 24 hours. Yeah, I don't, whatever. They're doing something, I guess. I think it's Zeke 3.5 yards per carry. He wasn't awful last year. Like, he obviously wasn't Pollard, but he wasn't quite as bad as he was previously. I don't have all the stats on my current data sheet, so unfortunately I can't give them to you. But I remember being surprised that Zeke was not egregiously bad in all the stats that I look at. And so we could actually get that share of Pierce here. Could also get more Deontay Johnson. Do I really need another fucking Deontay Johnson share at this point? And none of these guys are great values besides Walker, who I think kind of mid. Let's take Hockenson. We'll get an elite tight end in. Doesn't correlate with anything, but I do think having a Hockenson makes sense in this kind of build. Week 13 is going to be a tough one for us, but we'll survive. We'll survive. We'll be so far ahead on week 13. We'll be good to go. Zeke as 2005 Bettis would be hilarious. The range of outcomes is there. You can absolutely ruin some up-and-comers year. And that could be and Ramondre just feels like a guy, again, just wasn't good enough in advanced metrics that I think his role was fully secure. And I wanted one of Pierre Strong or Kevin Harris to get there, and then they both get cut. But like Zeke being it and just being mid as can be, that is definitely an outcome that feels like it is firmly within the range that will be occurring, actually. Pierce is now falling enough. 9 picks after ADP. I think I can gobble him up. There's really no receivers that I'm dying for. Gabe would be kind of interesting. Lockett, kind of interesting. I'm going to take Pierce. I'll build up. Here's a build. We're going to say that Pierce is a good anchor running back. Again, I have enough Singletary, including last draft. 150, try to correct the ills of the past and get Pierce. So my team so far is going to be Fields at QB, Damian Pierce at running back, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, and TJ Hockenson. Not my usual team. Now that we've taken these 2 deviations here with Hockenson and Pierce, but it's a team. I'll leave you that Deontay. There you go. You got Deontay for yourself. Richie James, wide receiver 1. Sky Moore, wide receiver 1 right now. And then still, Kadarius Toney, wide receiver 1, really. He's just going to be fucking limited in routes. Then again, people who are like, oh, the route participation can victory lap that in week 1. But Kadarius Toney, I still think is the dude. Like, if Kadarius Toney catches 2 touchdowns tomorrow on 10 to 15 routes, are you really shocked? Like, are you, if Kelce's out, would you really be shocked? I wouldn't be. I think that's just how they use him. They fed the guy like 34% intended touches every time he was on the field playing a snap. They're trying to give him a ball basically 33% of the time. 1/3 of the time that he's getting a touch, or that he's on the field, rather, he's getting a touch. I think that's too hard to ignore, even though I think Sky's going to be better. I think the stack really this year was still Kelce. Like, if we're going to assume that he's okay, Kelce, Toney, Sky. I think that's it. And then maybe add on one of MVS, Rashee Rice, Justin Ross. And Pacheco, I still think is okay. The running backs, you can talk me in any of those. Like, I still think McKinnon, as I've talked about, I think gets a little too much hate. Pacheco, I think, even though he's a 7th rounder, he certainly outplayed that draft capital and did it, especially when it mattered, like in the Super Bowl. So I think that Pacheco is fine as part of a Chiefs stack, but the value you're going to have a Chiefs stack is probably more in the pass game. I have more Pearson Sanders, so I was drafting more Hubbard. Thank you, though. There you go. Glad to hear it. Shout out Kelsey Beers. Shout out all the Beers family. Chiefs will troll us all and use Justin Watson as the primary receiving option. He's probably going to run a lot of routes. Like, he's firmly in play for the showdown slate, I would think. I wouldn't want a season of Justin Watson. I think at a certain point, Rashee Rice is like a really good boundary receiver and will hopefully grow into a better one. Justin Ross has at least a strong athletic profile and produced pretty well at Clemson relative to whatever that means with how far in the past that was. So those guys I feel like are there. And Richie James to me is just like Kadarius Toney insurance / Sky Moore insurance. I just don't think Richie James is that great of a play over the course of a season. For week one, maybe. I think Rice the best ball fade there. Sport getting him in Dynasty still. He's not going to have a big role to start the year. He has the same kind of potential to win a role at the end of the year, but I think really the bet on him got worse when MVS never got cut. If MVS had gotten cut, that'd be Rashee Rice out there because he's the only guy really who can do what MVS does in terms of getting downfield and at least offering a chance to catch passes that are contested. Pittman goes. Wouldn't have minded Pittman have fallen back my way, but it's okay. But yeah, I think Rashee Rice, like, very unique skill set in that offense, and he might be a better MVS. Not quite as fast, but like in terms of just actually going up and winning catches, he might be better. All right, so Goddard's here, which would be nice if we didn't already have an elite tight end. Nothing else that correlates spectacularly, but I do think David Montgomery in this build where we have the bet on Detroit makes sense, so let's get David Montgomery. Thinner at receiver than I would like, which makes me always uncomfortable. But I guess the Monra and Adams, like I expect those guys to be in the lineup most weeks. So you can make the case that we don't really need to get worried about receiver. Would have considered JSN. He goes, no worries. See what the guru with the classic Awesemo avatar does here. I think no matter what, this is going to be a receiver spot for me. All right. Miles Sanders goes. I didn't get as much Michael Thomas as I thought I would this offseason. So I am going to take Michael Thomas here. Still a guy that if he ends up being healthy, like he was good when he played last year, and that was with him not at full health, I am very willing to go to Michael Thomas if his ADP works out. The issue for me is that Michael Thomas just is never aligned in a spot where I either need a receiver or I want to go up and get him. Like I don't want to reach for Michael Thomas. So I think I'm above the field on him. Actually, I'm going to check that on Underdog because I am curious. So I know in like some of the drafts, I'm definitely over on Michael Thomas, but I don't know if I got there on BBM. 8% flat in Underdog for Michael Thomas. And on DraftKings, you can't see your exposures on desktop, right? It's only on the app. Let's see. Michael Thomas. Big Mike. I'm at 6% Michael Thomas on DraftKings. So, yeah, wasn't a deliberate under. I think he makes a lot of sense on DraftKings. MVS 3 TD game. It's a wreck, everyone. There you go. Nope, was not pushing David Montgomery. I'm going to get my bet on Detroit, even if I'm not going to get the Dallas side. Definitely think Montgomery. Montgomery's another guy that I feel like should be like more of a 15% guy for me, just because I think Gibbs is going to be great. Like I think Gibbs is going to get used in a way. I wouldn't worry about all these quotes or even get too excited about the quotes about, oh, we're creating a new position for him. Like I know I've seen a lot of social media people kind of doing the wank, the Daffy Duck motion here that I will pull up the GIF for, doing this a lot about, though I guess not really doing it. Like they would be more the mimicking one, the mocking one for Jahmyr Gibbs being a whole new position. But I do think Jahmyr Gibbs can be used really creatively. I do think he can be used downfield. It's hard to expect a team to actually follow through on that. But if there is a team that's going to do it and know that it is probably plus EV to put a really good avoid a tackle rate guy in the slot and give him actual routes, I think that Detroit might be that team. So I wouldn't poo-poo that stuff. That said, like, just Montgomery's going to be the better version of Jamal Williams. So they're both great. Like if Detroit's even just okay, or their defense just continues to suck and they need to keep scoring on offense. Jared Goff was one guy who, as I'm putting together my data for the new year, was looking at some of his stuff. Jared Goff was great every time he dropped back. Like, I know it's like crazy because he's Jared Goff and we saw so much bad stuff, but they coached a lot of the bad out of Jared Goff. And if that's the case, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to feast and he's going to get those fucking low A dot throws that Goff loves so much. And they had such yards after catch last year. And that's with Amon-Ra. And like Amon-Ra is good, but he's not going to break plays in the receiving game. Like I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to. So point being, I do love this offense. And I think a little too trendy for me, which is part of what I think gave me a little bit of take lock with not always drafting them. But I think that they are a really potent offense and they're going to be, whether Jameson Williams is good or not. Like I think they're going to be really good, or at least really good offensively, and defensively it's going to be a lot of the same. Not disrespect Big Mike Williams by calling Slant Man by his name. Are we referring to the rest in peace Mike Williams, the former Bills receiver, or the and also the Bucs receiver, who's really came out of nowhere to have like monster years? I think he was a Syracuse guy. Had a few monster years, but then of course Big Mike Williams, my USC beloved, who I once played basketball with when I was a little tyke at USC / an adult, I guess theoretically. Mike Williams, that guy, that's the Big Mike Williams I think of, who got too big. He got too big. He's one of those guys where they were like, oh, you ate yourself out a receiver and now you have to become a tight end, and that did not work out. The recently departed Mike Williams, top TD guy in Syracuse, tied with Marvin Harrison. That's pretty crazy. Definitely a big accomplishment. Yeah, I'll never forget though when he was like a guy on the Bucs and was like, holy shit, this guy came out of nowhere. And I think he had 1,000-yard season that year. Definitely, he got a better career than the Mike Williams that I stand from USC. All right, we got a 1-2-4-1. So we could go any position at this point. Nobody here we desperately need to take, I don't think. No correlation with Miami. I am going to add another running back in here, and I think maybe reach at receiver. The receiver in this range got ugly with Kadarius Toney going. So we will add Brian Robinson again. Team Brian Robinson over Antonio Gibson. Both are fine. Unstack too. I guess I could have done that to ruin somebody's draft. Like they've ruined all of mine on DraftKings, but no. I will not pay back their bad karma. I will not debase myself by going down to their level. We rise above here on Splash Play. I don't think I've ever deliberately sniped anybody on a stream. Maybe once. I took Dalvin Cook when Jerry and I drafted together. I guess that would be it. But that's not a true snipe to take somebody's pet project running back. Nico Collins feels like a tier break. We already have the bet on Houston, so let's get him. Man, I hope CJ Stroud's okay. The preseason was not inspiring for CJ Stroud. But he was the guy that I really thought would be second most fun behind AR. And it has not looked that way thus far with what he's put on tape. But he got one touchdown, I don't know, in that last game. Didn't play a lot of snaps, so maybe he'll be okay. Did Jerry a favor, if anything. That's true. Bailed him out of his 100% Dalvin Cook exposure. He would have been going full Felix Castro, the DK Millionare Maker winner, on Najee Harris, but just for Dalvin Cook. It's great seeing Jerry in the chat the other day. He sneaks in and says hi and then pops back out, and I get to do my Jerry voice, which I suppose I could do at any time, but it really pops if Jerry's in the chat giving me some lines to read. That would be in character. Tua goes to the guy with AR, which if he's got... Okay, so he's got nothing correlated. He takes unstacked Tua. Fucking Rob Mel, I thought was doing something really fun because I love this build. If he had Tyreek here instead of Eckler, obviously he wasn't even available to him, or Waddle here instead of Henry, said he had to be a little RB piggy. Of course, he's the one that took Jahmyr Gibbs earlier. But if he had taken Waddle, he's also got fucking Burrow. What a dipshit. Never mind. Rob's just a dipshit. Rob is he got downgraded quickly to me being like, who is this genius drafting? I love what he's doing to, what is this fucking moron doing? 3 QBs? You don't need that. Unstacked to it does nothing for this team. And he needs positions. Like he needs receivers desperately because he went so late. Dumb. How many games do you think Kelce needs to miss to not live up to his draft capital? Oh, man. 8, including week 17, I think would really, no, but 8 would probably kill you pretty much overall. Especially if you are a Kelce Mahomes drafter. I think that whole bet just becomes worse. But I think if he's still like lurking around and you built smartly, you still have one good tight end to maybe get you through, let alone what I've done a few times on here where I take the 3 tight end builds, even if you have the elite, just because especially on DraftKings, you have 20 rounds. I think those guys will survive. But yeah, I feel like he's got to miss at least half the season. And then in particular, hurt you in the playoffs would be it. This is a dipshit draft. It is. It is. Whenever you see the 3 QBs going and unstacked Tua, you know you're in a dipshit room. Hard to argue that. I'm glad I got my fields early so I could stay out of the QB arms race, which honestly, this kind of looks like Tetris in the middle here, right? It looks like this Lawrence piece is going to drop down and he's going to get a sick Tetris for all the QBs. Kelce in this draft went to our guy Ben at the 12 spot. So did not fall that far. But short gamer, if you missed last draft, I'm just going to keep bragging about last draft. I got Cooper-Kupp at the 2-3 turn. That was pretty fun with Justin Jefferson. So that's the team that I'll put my stake behind. How many games does blank player need to miss to not live up to his week's draft capital? Week 17, the answer for all of them. With Kelce, though, it's particularly different, I think, because the bet on Kelce is that you won't ever need tight end help. So you're kind of killing your team. But I agree, like it just means that you got to get Kelce through at a low advance rate. It just becomes like anything that fucks up your team, anything that starts the war of attrition early relative to the draft capital you spent is just going to make it a smaller needle to thread. So in the beginning, let's say the needle's this big, and then you have Travis Kelce's out for a few weeks, the needle gets this big. Then you have, X other guy is going to be out for a stretch, and the needle gets this big. And still, you can get these guys there. Just take spike weeks from the other guys at the right time. But it's just like gets to be a tighter window. I think it's the best way to view it. If Rob put me on that team championship, where did Najee go this draft? Where did our boy Najee? Always great to see again the famous friends coming out. Gabe Davis, Najee Harris. Yeah, Najee went a respectable 4.8. Went ahead of Breece Hall. Najee, this is a big win for you, man. Congrats to Najee. Najee got drafted ahead of legit running backs. Break out the Najee horn. I'm on the clock. too excited celebrating this. I'll take Jared Goff as QB too. I think that aligned pretty well. So we have our second QB. Still need receivers, still need running backs, but see one running back, that would be pretty nice, but I'm sure Ben will take him with how this has gone. Lots of some tough holes in the 4th and 5th round, but how do you like the 4 holes draft? And yes, I use code Splash for Drafter. Shout out CJ. I'll take a look. I'll take a look once these picks are up. We'll check out CJ's draft in the 4 hole. So let's see what the guru does. I think he'd be great to take Jacoby Myers. Okay, never mind. All right, so I wanted Rachaad Penny there. Just think that he is a nice pick at this point. Rachaad Penny, fun fact about him, best market odds right now to have a touchdown of the running backs for Philly in week 1. So again, he went from potentially, I think Rob Coakley might have tweeted this too, went from, everybody's worried he's going to get cut. And then now he's looking like a real dude. Who might maybe the best dude of all, maybe the Jamal Williams. I think that's certainly in play, at least for what Jalen Hurts doesn't steal from him. All right, team for our guy CJ in the 4 hole, right? Yes, okay, in the 4 hole. So he got Tyreek, Olave, Allen. Again, any Allen without Diggs, I tend to not love unless you are getting Gabe and Kincaid. You got Kincaid, so that looks good. Absorbing the risk on Juju's knee, maybe not as big of a discount as you should get. For the potential of it exploding. But I do think if you're going to stack Buffalo at all, getting Juju would be the preferred receiver for me. Breece Hall, you got him as a value after Najee Harris, so I think that works. A semi-value there. Godwin, not the biggest fan of. He'll probably have a good week 1, but not the biggest fan of him over the course of a season. A little bit of a Judy discount. I think it's a solid team. I think the Elijah Moore doesn't do a whole lot for me. Godwin, I feel like you could have maybe shifted some of these pockets around. It would have looked better. Like if you had gotten Drake, I think that would have looked better. If you'd gotten Ayuk or Pickens, that would have looked better than Godwin to me. But you're making the bet with New Orleans, Tampa Bay. I get it. I just, think it's a good team though. It just, I don't see it the same way as you do, but I think that doesn't make it a bad team. Spags, the major FFPC grinder yourself. And it takes in the current situation there with Taysom. I made fun of it yesterday, but I think that I think it's stupid. I'm curious to see Liam debate it with the guy who I guess works for FFPC. I don't know if I'm actually going to watch the stream, but I might watch a few minutes of it. Not to disrespect to Liam, but I don't need to see guys debating best ball rules. I think I've had enough once I file away this DK draft. But I think that they shouldn't have changed it. I think for best ball in particular, it's all about the positions when it opens. And like DraftKings Underdog, they don't add players in. FFPC, they don't add players in. It's basically the same thing as like adding a player in to change his position like that. And especially for best ball, because you're building with certain structures in mind, where like if Taysom became a QB on DraftKings, I'd be like, this is so fucking stupid, because I built him as part of my 3 tight end builds to have this kind of upside as a guy that like going at 180, it's too good to ignore the QB upside. If he's actually a QB, then that defeats purpose entirely, unless it's like super flex. And even then it would still change the game too much. So I think it's fucked up. And I would certainly, I think if you guys make enough noise, like I think that they might revert it potentially. But they are very much a stuck in their ways company that's been very happy to take the rake they're having. I know that because the bosses that I had at Football Outsiders parent company at one point, I think we're in talks with FFPC to see if they can maybe buy him to help prop up the shanty business that was going on at the time. So point being, like, I think that they're very happy to make their money. They don't want to change anything. And I think that's the thing you're running into with FFPC, from at least from what I understand. But we'll see. I think if people have made enough noise and from every corner of the industry that I do think, and made fun of them too for it, I think that they would be smart to listen to the audience and the people that are going to spend money, because the people that spend money there, like, I think are also the kinds that might not spend money there next year. They have more than enough options, and FFPC is not like some fucking killer app or anything. Underdog can get away with that maybe because people want to play an underdog and think it's so fucking great. But you can't be like the company that's been around for too long and not nearly as relevant. Like, I think drafters should pass them if they haven't already. So if you're number 4 in the space already, and you're fucking around your diehard fan base, it's not good business, I don't think. Yes, if you drafted him as a tight end, they switched to QB. That's stupid. Yeah, it was, I think, designed more for their season-long leagues, and that's why they had the rule. But for best ball, it's like it completely changes, the entire trickle down of every pick is theoretically affected by that, at least the ones after it. But I think overall too, because you then don't take a QB at pick 100 because you're going to take a QB late. That's different if that QB is a QB and or a tight end. So definitely fucks it up for all those guys. But that's why, that's not why. That's not why I don't play on FFPC, but it's part of it where it's, like, I trust Underdog now. I've grown to trust drafters, certainly being where I am. Nice to talk to the founder and get that trust going and know that they, care about their audience and stuff. And DraftKings doesn't give a shit about us, but it's a lawless land. And we're basically in Mad Max drafting teams. So we got Penny. So I think that obviously Gainwell makes no sense for us. We got Mooney here, who was really not a fun click at any point. But he is a correlated receiver. I am going to take Mooney here. I think he just makes sense of this build. So team so far: Fields, Pierce, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, TJ Hawkinson, Michael Thomas, Brian Robinson, Nico Collins, Jared Goff, Rachaad Penny, Darnell Mooney. So a 2-4-6-1 build. And we need some, and I think I see one running back that would also look pretty good here too. Hey, shout out Rob. Appreciate the content this offseason. Best luck this season. And hit the like button because this guy knows ball. That's correct. I deserve your likes as the preeminent knower of ball in the space. Again, I hold the football. Does anybody else know ball and hold the football? No, I don't think so. Not that I've seen in best ball drafts. Roschon is the pick here. We didn't get Herbert. Deonta Foreman is a useless piece of trash based on his current ADPs. And I don't think Harris does as much for this team as Roschon does. So we will add him here as our 5th running back. And I won't read the team again, but it's the one that I just read. And then you add on Darnell Mooney and Roschon Johnson. And then this might be a late Mac Hollins team. This might be a luxury CJ Stroud team. Could have been a Tyjae Spears team, I guess, but it's not going to be. He's not going to last. Well, see, that the difference, though, is that Scott Hansen's not doing DraftKings Best Ball Draft. So, yes, like, he'd be another guy on stream, on internet content, holding a football, proving that he, in fact, knows ball, as he does for 8 hours every Sunday, which I can't wait to be back into the mix with. So, yes, he knows ball there, but he's not a guy holding a football, doing a DraftKings Best Ball Draft who knows ball. So that's where we differ. That's where we differ. He's got better things to do. Air yards. I used to reference air yards way too much back in my early days of doing content. And I still think air yards have a lot of value, but Then I find a new stat and then I start slutting for that. And this year, if you haven't heard the words EPA per target and EPA per rush enough, all my data this year's I got EPA on play action. I got EPA. Sports Info Solutions has blessed us with a cornucopia of analytics for me to use, and I'm going to be using them real hard. EPA on throw for the defense, how they do under 20 yards, how they do over 20 yards, how they do in man coverage, how they do in zone coverage, how they do when they're pressuring the QB, how they do when they're not pressuring the QB. Ooh, you guys are going to get some fun stats that hopefully will start to mean something to you the more you hear them. That's my hope. But I am firmly an expected points added slut now. Now that I've done the work, now that also the Best Ball Data Bowl guys have proven too that the best correlation you can do for yourself is EPA per drop back for your QBs with where they're getting drafted ADP wise. I am steadfast in my belief that the ticket to the pay window is knowing every EPA stat you possibly can for all these guys. I mean, you could look at that study in the Best Ball Data Bowl, but it was very tightly correlated with QBs outperforming ADP in the Best Ball Data Bowl, which I think is still on their GitHub. There might be a summary somewhere else as well, but I did enjoy that. That was enough proof for me. But it's not like 1-to-1 with fantasy performance. Like last year, Pickens and Watson were fantastic EPA per target guys. It's still about that turning into volume. But the assumption is that young guys who outperform things then generate more targets. So guys who excelled with EPA theoretically should get more opportunity as long as there isn't a blocker there. Like Rachaad Shaheed was technically the best receiver in EPA per target last year, but he's now blocked by Olave and Michael Thomas. So it's tough for him to expect him to get more volume. But, teams are looking at these numbers too, and they know this guy's producing more every time he touches the ball. For most teams that do, have sound analytics departments that are integrated into the coaching staff and the process, they then try to feed those guys more. But also, it shows on game tape, like Pickens outperforming, Watson outperforming. I think you kind of know that watching film. So sometimes those go hand in hand as well. Just traded an order of a fake ID for someone's red zone / YouTube TV login for the season. I don't think you could share those, right? I think at least historically, DirecTV would make it really hard to share that stuff. So just something to be careful of. I wouldn't expect to rely on that stuff. And if you want to pirate it, I'll say it here because I care about the audience. NFLBite.com is fantastic for just pirating the stuff. If you are too broke to afford the thing, it's pricey if you're not a college kid and getting that discount. And if you're a college kid getting that discount, it's also pricey. So yeah, that's what I would use if I were brokies. That's what I do use for the Pac-12 because I'm not paying for fucking Pac-12 network on Xfinity. So that's where I watch my Caleb Williams is on NFL Byte. They have all the NCAA games as well, pirated streams in one spot. We're burying this an hour and 25 minutes in. So that's the plus EV for free watching of content. You're in the family. Good. Also, Bullock is making fake IDs. I didn't know that Bullock seems like such a goody two shoes, and apparently he's a little bit of a sketch ball. I didn't know our pal Bobo. My super flex, oh boy. And my super flex I have for QBs, this should have been a super chat, I feel like. I have for QBs Mahomes, Lawrence, Goff. Yesterday I traded away Lawrence, Jacobs, DK Metcalf for Bijan Robinson, Tyreek Hill. Thoughts? You were trading away from a position of strength, so I think that's okay. It would be nicer if you had a rookie QB there to who could step up in that spot. But you got good value, so I think that's fine. Getting two stud players at two key positions is better than one stud player, even in Superflex. All right. 2561. We don't need Pierce, or we don't need Singletary because we got Pierce. Another Kendre build. I see it coming. Let's do it. Kendre Miller, come on down. He will be our 6th running back here. And I think we're done at the position, but we do have the bet on Michael Thomas. You might foresee a bet perhaps on Trey Palmer or Kate Otten coming. And that will be the case here. And honestly, I could make this a Sean Tucker build if he were in the player pool. So never mind, because he's not. I did not auto. I made the pick. I intended to make. I got it in just in time, but that was such a chat that it's like, this is not the usual run of chats, but I do want to help these guys because these guys like that chatter just probably go from stream to stream, just kind of looking for an answer. So I don't want to let him down. Taysom Hill makes sense in this build. Sorry to the guy who's got Derek Carr, but I'm just taking all the players because Sam Laporta was not anywhere near where I could have drafted him. So I didn't have my Detroit tight end, but the team so far adds 2 New Orleans guys to increase our New Orleans bet. We got Chicago, Justin Fields at QB, Damian Pierce, our first running back, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, our elite tight end, TJ Hawkinson at the flex, Michael Thomas. We got Brian Robinson, Nico Collins, Jared Goff, Rachaad Penny, Darnell Mooney, Roshan Johnson, Kendre Miller, and Taysom Hill. I think Mac Hollins would make sense on this team. I think Palmer and Otten would make sense on this team. I think Sean Tucker, if he were in the player pool, would make sense on this team. Malik Heath might make sense on this team as a bring back from Minnesota. Jalen Tolbert, Rico Dowdle. We got a lot of guys that make sense for week 17 correlations. And probably no Tennessee guys. Kyle Phillips, maybe, barely. Probably not enough. I think Kyle Phillips became DOA when DeAndre Hopkins went there. If he wasn't already. Oh, Bullock, here we go. Bullock walking it back. I'll read his PR statement here. I'm not making the fake at FBI. I just know a guy. That's the official public statement from Bullock's lawyers. They're giving it up. How many teams you drafted overall this year? I have drafted, I think, 550, I want to say. The 150 here, the 150 in Best Ball Mania, and then I think roughly 300. Actually, no, so I might be closer to 600. I'm not going to do the math again, but definitely over 500, if not over 600. And next year, even more, because again, I'm going to stream every day. I'm going to stream at least one draft every day next best ball season. And that's going to allow me to get more bullets in. It's going to allow me to keep more of a content through line for everything, a touch point with you all, where I demand your attention once a day. But next year, I think it'll be like, I'm going to max the big board, because I really think, I think I might win the big board this year with my 60 whatever entries are in there. But I'm going to max the big board next year. I'm going to max BBM. I'm going to max at least one puppy, I think. Max DK. And I think as long as Drafters comes back to the negotiating table, I think max Drafters will be a thing that I'm going to do next year. Love touch points. Yes, I always touch your yes points and not your no points. Love hearing we have 0 of the same targets on our correlated teams here. Good. Okay, I'm glad to hear it. Just think you have like 24 hours to max a puppy. I'm done. I think once I finish these drafts, I'm going to do my Drafters drafts leisurely, maybe late at night to try to capture whatever EV that entails on Drafters. But I think that's going to be my process. It's been a fun journey. I love this stuff, as you guys know. But tomorrow we got a DFS slate, so I got to start preparing for that and get my data aligned, get my little Excel. Like, I'll even show you guys. So here's my Excel right now. It is not ready to go because I have to hold on. Let me try to get this somewhere where it's actually visible. And I'll go full screen too, so you guys can really see. If you watched streams last year, you know my data sheet. So here's my data sheet. And basically, I have to get all that stuff color-coded. I have to make sure all the stats work because I'm switching off of both PFF and Football Outsiders this year. I'm just going to be using, as I mentioned, Sports Info Solutions and Pro Football Reference, along with stochastic data. So that is it. So I have to finish that up and make it look good. So I have my little Bible to reference of everything, game by game, for whatever content I do. Because that's the thing that I think I do well, is I've always prepared my data well in advance, and then you now watch me slowly reconnect my stuff. We'll go back to the board. Come on, plug. I guess I don't need this plug-in at this point. The laptop's charged. It doesn't need more juice. Big data guy. I mean, look, I have the player takes, and I land on the player takes by being as studious as possible on news items and data. And I think if you follow content people and they are not, I think that, that's a flaw in the process. If I could speak it Canadian style, I think their process has gone poorly. All right. Ritter's here. He does nothing for this team. I'm just going to reach and get K. Otten. I'm just going to start making sure I finish out this build. So K. Otten will be our third tight end. Probably could have got him at 207, but what am I going to take? Oh, am I dying for Richie James here after speaking ill of him? Jeff Wilson does nothing for me at this point. I mean, Jeff Wilson would be okay, but he doesn't do a whole lot for me. I think I should just get like all the fun guys that I mentioned there. I think this might be a Rico Dowdle team. Not going to take Jeff Wilson. Do I really want to take Rico Dowdle? Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Rico Dowdle. It's just fun to say. Rico Dowdle. Come on down. Team so far. We got Justin Fields, Damian Pierce, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, TJ Hawkinson, Michael Thomas, Brian Robinson Jr., Nico Collins, Jared Goff, Rashad Penny, Darnell Mooney, Roshan Johnson, Kendre Miller, Taysom Hill, Cade Otton, and Rico Dowdle. Take Rico. It's 150. Yeah, sure. You got to really get wild with your 150, and that means taking Rico Dowdle. Oh, sorry, Chunk. Deuce Vaughn already went. Couldn't take him. So unfortunate for me that I couldn't get a Deuce Vaughn share here. The good news for Rico Dowdle is that he's sized like an adult. He doesn't like, they don't have his locker as a little child house that's outside. Are we just using stochastic projections? I'm debating leaving ETR for the year and using stochastic. I'm leaning towards paying for both and doing a blended projection with them for what I do process wise. I'm not sure if I don't have an ETR freebie. I'm sure I could, I guess, pester Leone for it, but I don't like doing that with people I'm not like incredibly close with. So I think what I will use is stochastic for sure. And I might add on a layer of ETR. Because I do want to get, I think that will make me different from other stochastic sims right away. And I'm hoping that the stochastic sim is the best. That's my belief from what I know of the process they put towards it. I know people have sworn by Saber Sim or Justin at Run the Sims, putting a lot of work in his product. I hope to try at least Justin's product at some point too. But I think that, I would trust stochastic. Obviously, I'm a little biased from having been there from the jump of them founding it, but I think it's going to be worth it. Projections, though, I do think always blending is going to be the best. There was a site for a while, I don't know if it still exists, called the Daily Average, and it would average projections from all the sites together into one number. And you would argue that those projections are more valuable than anything because it allows you to then see the entire field through the prism of the projections that are going into it, if that makes sense. So that's what I would try to do. Spags Bankroll guy, could you stake me, please? I'm but a young whippersnapper. You need to try Travis Petty, from what I understand from the Lulz episode they did with him and Ricky D. But no, I'm barely staking myself. I'm cutting down my bankroll a little bit because I need to make money last with rolling out probably and getting obviously splash plays taking up a lot of my time and going to because I love this stuff and I want to build this into something worthwhile for both you guys and myself. But I think that I'm not the guy who can. Who could stake anybody but himself. But if I win BBM or if I win the Millionare Maker, then hey, all bets are off. I'm staking everybody. If I win BBM 4, 5 people get staked for BBM 5, which would be fun. And staked where I'm not even going to take your money. I'm just going to give you the entry fees and go, good fucking luck. Unless I really want to try to squeeze money out of it, then I'll offer you the money for a stake and mentorship. Do I use the air yards buy low model in PFF? No. I follow the articles that come through social media, but I am not. I was debating using ETR in the stochastic sim, but I have to find the exact change. Yeah, that's what I think would be the smart move. You can use custom projections after you build your 10,000 lineups. I don't think you can build your 10,000 lineups based off of custom projections, though. I think it builds a stock 10,000 lineups, but then you have to run your sims off of the projections you use. But they do make it pretty easy, though, to use other projections, including your own. At least from what I've seen so far. All right, so we got 2 rounds left, 2 picks. Still think Jalen Tolbert's going to be part of this team just for a weird one. Trey Palmer, always a guy I'm willing to get as part of a team. Don't think we need another running back. Don't need another tight end now that we got 3, including an elite one with TJ Hawkinson. Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite has more upside than Dowdle. Wow. The Deuce Vaughn stand simply cannot handle a guy like Rico Dowdle coming to the game, ready to go, being adult-sized again. I'm actually going to pivot here, take Josh Downs as my bring back for Devontae Adams. Just didn't have any Indianapolis representation. No AR here. Josh Downs, though, usually goes earlier than this on DraftKings. Feel like it's impossible to get him in AR stacks because of that. But Josh Downs, and now we're down to our last pick. This is last pick and pick 150 or draft 150. I mean, I need another Tampa Bay guy, I think. I need a Tampa Bay guy more than I need Jalen Tolbert. And Trey Palmer's got more of a role than Tolbert. Man, Tolbert, though, is kind of fun. If only we had 21 rounds, I'd grab them both. Put them both in the queue. What would you guys do in my shoes? Jalen Tolbert for another Sheriff Trey Palmer, who has been my end of season, pop him in everything kind of guy. Wait, did he go? Did someone take Trey Palmer as a bit? Trey Palmer went to, oh my God, went to the guru. All right, never mind. Jalen Tolbert it is. Final team here. I got the choice made for me. That worked out. There you go. Tolbert. Justin Fields is my QB. Damian Pierce, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, TJ Hawkinson, Michael Thomas, Brian Robinson, Nico Collins, Jared Goff, Rachaad Penny, Darnell Mooney, Roschon Johnson, Kendre Miller, Taysom Hill, Cade Otton, Rico Dowdle, Josh Downs, Jalen Tolbert, Raheem Jarrett was the request. No. All right, let's see. Ben's team saying gotta check out the team. Got Kelce, Lamb, Cooper, Williams, Deontay with Walker, Swift, JSN. You got your stacks. Got the Seattle with the running back again. Team Charbonnet over Kenneth Walker, ride or die. But I do get getting Kenneth Walker there makes sense for you. Jordan Love, you paired with nothing, right? You got Musgrave. I don't know that you needed to make this deviation here. I feel like, to me, Gino and Russ are probably enough, but this is Ben's team. Ben's team solid. Ben's hacked on the correlations. Got some late ones. Little micro correlations. Always love to see it. And Josh Reynolds. All right. Ben playing my personal hits on that one. Let me see. You can't do exposures on DK, right? I would love to do a final exposure review, but I'm pretty sure it's only on mobile. I don't know why I'm going to leagues as though that was somehow going to solve it. Lineups? Is that going to do anything for me? Here we go. Player. No, this is the Roto Grinders tool. View exposure. Here we go. All right, let's view my exposures. This will be fun. Yeah, you can see it. All right, so overall, Christian Watson, number 1 at 30%. Number 2, Eli Mitchell at 30%. Number 3, Roschon, 28%. Number 4, Anthony Richardson, got more of him on DK, 28% AR. And number 5, Tyler Algier. QB top 5, AR at 28%. Jordan Love at 19%. Justin Fields at 13%. So I got a lot there. It's a great question. It's a great question. Deshaun Watson at 10%, Kirk Cousins at 10%, and some other guys that I am over on CJ Stroud bet. It's okay. I worry about that one probably the most. He's probably QB3 more than he is QB2, but not great. At running back here, we got Eli Mitchell, number 1 at 30%. Number 2, Roschon at 28%. Number 3, Tyler Algier, 25%. Number 4, Zach Charbonnet at 21%. And number 5, Jalen Warren, who just came up too high in price. I got him at 21%. P. Ryan not far behind. Penny, Miller, A-Chain. These are all guys that, of course, going to be similar to my bets on Underdog. Wide receiver, number 1, Christian Watson again at 30%. Number 2, Alec Pierce, who was too cheap on DraftKings at 22%. Number 3, Amari Cooper, 21%. Number 4, JSN at 20%. Bought that dip. Number 5, George Pickens at 20%. Bought him before the rise. Terry McLaurin, another guy, bought the dip. Michael Pittman, not as big of a bet as on Underdog. It's still a big bet. Terrace Marshall, big bet. Just a lot of receivers. That's what happens when you are a 0 RB bro in 2023 is you end up with crazy receiver exposures. My tight ends, Mark Andrews, number 1 at 22. So I did get heavy Mark Andrews on DraftKings. I like that. Michael Mayer, number 2 at 20. Number 3, Luke Musgrave, also at 20. Dallas Goedert, 15. Taysom Hill, late come on as he fell in ADP, 12% for him. And some other guys got Irv at 11, Laporta at 10 before the price rose, and I just could never get him at ADP. Noah Fant, Smythe at 9%. Vestigial Jelani Woods hanging on everywhere. But there we go. Those are my teams, guys. You've seen it now. Draft 150 in the books. Shout out to all of you guys here. As I've mentioned, shout out to my co-host. I appreciate you guys always being the best co-host out there, giving me stuff to work off of, giving good questions, giving good takes. That is something that brings me a lot of joy here. And of course, this is the end of best ball season for me right now, even though we'll do some stuff in season as well. But the fun goes on here at Splash Plays. So Hey, it's me, Jerry. Oh, I should move my hands, I suppose, because I'm hiding behind this box. But Jerry thinks it's a great time for you to subscribe. Jerry knows ball. Jerry's been touting Dalvin Cook on the streams all off season long, at least the last few weeks or so. So subscribe to this guy, Spags. He doesn't know Dalvin Cook ball too well. Seems to know the other stuff pretty okay. Does a good job. Oh, thanks, Jerry. Good to have Jerry back in here. Either way, though, it's been a fun best ball season. This is officially the end of it for me doing stream content. So thank you guys for being along for the ride. It's been a lot of fun, whether it be on Underdog, whether it be on DraftKings, whether it be on DraftKings. I appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with me. It's been a lot of fun not being here alone with the football. So thank you guys for doing that. And tomorrow, showdown content coming up. Going to try to do it relatively bright and early once I have everything aligned and it looks like it's correct. So that'll be coming up on the channel tomorrow. Friday, we'll be going through a full slate look kind of thing. Same process, going through the sims, trying to maybe hand build some stuff, looking at the optimizer. That's what we're going to do on Friday here. It doesn't stop here on Splash Play. So follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. And of course, please do subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Leave a comment, all that stuff. And I really do wish you guys the best of luck. Hope you guys got something good from these streams. And if not, hope you built good teams independent of me. But I'm excited to see what you guys do. Excited to see what I do. Excited to see what you guys do. It's going to be fun. And there we go. Shout out to the chats. You guys are the best. Really do appreciate it. And of course, we're ending just shy of 69 people watching. So that is a pretty nice number. And I will see you guys tomorrow for Showdown. NFL season tomorrow. See you guys then. Have a good day and good luck.